that's one of the things in my life about taking opportunities when you can't really see round the corner. I really believe we're all in charge of our destiny. You make choices, and sometimes those choices aren't linear. I don't really believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life meld. My priority at that time was young children. I'd moved from Canada, where you can live in a big house downtown, to living out in Surrey, having a commute, travelling a lot internationally. I was having to do a lot of time in New York, some point a week. I was a ninja at the job while I was learning how to be a mum of two and commute. I actively chose to stay, and I am so grateful I made that choice. I love my professional life and my personal life, which makes me happy and motivated.
Ambition is not a dirty word. Impact is not synonymous with struggle. In fact, massive impact is absolutely possible with joy, fun and sublime integrity. I'm Bianca Bess, author and founder of The Burnout Business, and this is the Big Impact Show, where success meets grace. Today on the Big Impact Show, I am delighted to be joined by Jacqueline O'Sullivan, who is Head of Agency International at Yahoo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bianca. Delighted to be here.
I am so happy to be having this conversation with you today because you are a friend. We have worked together in the media industry for many, many years now. And reading your phenomenal chronology of life experience, work experience, it's a real honour to be sharing this sofa and this interview today with you. So you have an illustrious career from navigating the tech beasts that are Microsoft and now Yahoo. You have joined boards, you have judged Cannes Lion over in Canada, all sorts, and you have two wonderful children. So tell me, who is Jacqueline and what's your story?
Oh, thank you so much. So I'm Jacqueline. We've been friends for a long time, so you know that. I started out my career and I knew exactly what I was going to be. I was going to be a journalist.
Wonderful.
And I left university in 1997 and I was at university in Dundee, which is home to DC Thomson's, which is a really large publishing company. And they did one of the top journalist training schools, so I was determined to get into it. And I couldn't get in, but what they did offer me was a chance to join this internet portal. Now, this is 1997. Nobody even really used the internet massively at that point. So I took that opportunity, and I think that's one of the things in my life about taking opportunities when you can't really see round the corner. So I took that opportunity. Now, that was quite amusing because I often, when I was trying to get interviews, had to explain what the internet was and convince people I wasn't trying to sell them a computer.
Wow, this is going back a long time.
Long time. But I did that for 5 years, and then Microsoft came knocking. Now, this would be the early 2000s when they were just starting to bring IT into the classroom. And again, my master plan, because I'd moved from being a journalist into being more interested in the commercial side of the digital opportunity. And I really wanted to come down and go to MSN. But Microsoft offered me a job in the enterprise part of Microsoft. So again, I thought, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to MSN, so I'll do a quick year at Microsoft, helping to build an online education community for teachers to share best practice so they could understand why you would use IT in the classroom. And knowing exactly what I was going to do, I stayed there for 6 years. And the reason I stayed in Microsoft Enterprise for 6 years was it was like getting an MBA in business, and that's probably my sort of second big light bulb moment in my career. Was Microsoft is one of the most impressive businesses because they know what are the business outcomes they're going for, and they manage everything they do through that strategic lens. I then managed to get over to Microsoft Advertising, as it was then, and I did that for 10 years. And I was very fortunate in that I was on their fast-track development programme, and with that came an
Not fortunate. You earned that, by the way. There is no luck in that. You were picked, weren't you?
I was. And I felt fortunate because of the investment that was made, but you're right. Yeah. You had to earn your right to be in that cohort. So at that time, I then spent time in Canada, did lots of different marketing roles, moved all the way up to head of marketing, and then opportunity came knocking again, and I was asked whether I wanted to move into running a global agency piece of business for Microsoft. And that was a big change for me. I'd never seen myself being on the sales side. I always loved the marketing. I loved building, but a really phenomenal leader convinced me that that was a really transferable set of skills that I'd had, and that the strategic part of my career could really be played out well there. Yeah. So I did it. I took the jump. I moved back to London, and at that point I then went off on my second maternity leave. And when I came back, Microsoft Advertising had sold its business, the advertising part of their business, over to AOL. So I was suddenly back in London, doing a new job, 2 young babies, in a brand new company, trying to navigate that.
That's an almighty challenge. And did that feel at that moment that a sense of destiny was out of your control? Things were happening to you? Or were you able to consciously go, I'm choosing this, I'm leaning in with eyes open? Describe what was going on for you mentally, emotionally during that period.
Do you know, it's a really great question, in that a lot of my colleagues left and went on to other things. Mm-hmm. And I chose to stay. And I deliberately chose, because I really believe we're all in charge of our destiny. Yeah. You make choices. You make active choices. And sometimes those choices aren't linear, in that I don't really believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life meld. Yeah. And what I mean by that is my priority at that time was young children. I'd moved from Canada, where you can live in a big house downtown, to living out in Surrey, having a commute, travelling a lot internationally. I was having to do a lot of time in New York, some point a week a month. Wow. Yeah, that was a lot. But that was the best choice to remain, because there I knew people. I was a ninja at the job, and I didn't want to have to go and learn a new job while I was learning how to be a mum of 2 and commute, etc. So I actively chose to stay, and I am so grateful I made that choice, because with that came a journey that I believe has made me a real expert in change management, because we went through AOL to Oath to Verizon Media to Yahoo, and all those different ownerships. A big, huge American telco, independence, private equity. They taught me muscles and skill sets that were a phenomenal rounding out and shaping of who I am.
So I love how you just described yourself as the ninja in your role. How you're showing up today, the role that you have right now, do you still feel like you're rocking your ninja-ness?
I think the industry we're in is building the future. That's what advertising has to do. It needs to understand the consumer deeply. It needs to understand the changing environment we operate in. And then it needs to deliver a value-based messaging and exchange with its consumers. I don't think anyone could have the job I have today, working with global agencies, and not always be in a learning mode. And that really drives me. I love to learn. I'm a builder shaper. I don't like to stand still. So I don't think if you asked me that job in 2 years, 5 years, I would have a different answer, because I'm really curious about what's going on and what that means in a business context.
And it's always evolving, isn't it? It's always faster than ever.
As you know.
Exactly.
As you know.
So let's think about you in your daily life. When you wake up in the morning, what motivates you to spring out of bed and seize the day?
Things like this. Doing things differently. My week never looks the same. You know, yesterday I was doing a fireside chat. Today we're doing this. I then go into lots of different meetings. And the thing that's at the core of all of that, people and ideas. I really like people, and I like people who are dynamic and busy and motivated. I love to grow, I love to learn, and I think I'm really privileged in the career I have, that I'm surrounded by big ideas all the time and interesting people, and that's what drives me in a professional context. And then if we're thinking at the weekends, what motivates me? My family. I really, really enjoy my family. I've got 2 young boys, they're 10 and 12. I've got a lovely Canadian husband called Dave, and we really enjoy a totally different life at the weekend. Yeah. We go for a dog walk. The boys have got sport. We've got lovely friends, and that to me is just a well-rounded life where I love my professional life and my personal life, which makes me happy and motivated.
That's perfect. That's a lovely description. So how do you manage across the week that blend? Because obviously the family responsibilities are still there, despite the fact that it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So how do you navigate that? The children are a little bit older now, but they're still young. So you've still got the pressure, the demands of family life, and a dog. A new dog.
A brand new dog. I just like to always throw something else into the mix. Sometimes you don't. I think would be a really good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, when everything's in flow, it's perfect. You know, I've got a husband who's a partner. That's an important part of this. I've got children. We work in a structure. We know all what we need to do.
Yeah.
I try and do good things. Like I've just started a meditation course because I realised, you know, there was a lot going on towards the end of the year and I needed to find some space. So I think it's just when I feel myself going out of flow, trying to, we all know the right things to do.
That's it.
We do. Yeah. We know we should exercise. Yeah. We know we should eat well. But we also know it sometimes gets out of control. And I think for me, it's just trying to stop, take stock, because once it goes out of control, it all gets worse.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing is actually that sometimes it's complicated as you look out at the landscape of well-being advice, that there's so much. And like you just said, you know, we know what to do, but actually the choice of what you could do is endless.
Yeah.
So as you feel yourself spiraling into a moment where there's total overwhelm, both professionally and personally, what are the signals that alert to you that, oh, this is a moment I need to book a meditation course?
Yeah.
Like, how do you have that reset? How do you fit it in when you're in a flurry of overwhelm already?
I mean, nobody's an expert on this, and I'm not going to sit.
Yeah.
Well, you're an expert on this, actually.
Thank you. Let's hope so. But how do you
I realise who I'm talking to, the woman who had 4 children, a massive career, and found time to write 2 books. The first signal for me is if I don't sleep well. That's when I know too much is going on.
Okay.
And then what I try and do is take control.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, and this is a lesson I've learned, I didn't just wake up and know this, you know, there's been a lot of iterations to get to this. We can all take control. Now, I know somebody who's watching this is maybe looking at a diary that's out of control. Maybe somebody's not well. Maybe you're having to look after a family member. But really critically challenging myself and going, what's in that diary that the world wouldn't stop if I didn't go to that, or I got somebody else to do. So what I try and do is take control to carve out time, take control to then do the things that I know I must and should do, like exercise, take control if I know the meditation course was a reaction to not sleeping well. So just control, because we can all take control.
Yeah. And control is interesting because actually one of the core precursors to burnout is a sense of a loss of control. And like you've just described, you know, there are aspects we can control, but there's an awful lot we can't. So I guess the reassurance to anyone listening is that as you get that control, it's about going within, which is exactly what you do. Because when you get that sense of grounded control, then you start to feel the self-esteem rise, you start to feel your level of capability. Exactly. So you've clearly worked out how to manage that by being conscious and creating space and soothing yourself mentally.
Yes.
I love the fact that you've leaned into meditation. How's that going? What are you learning?
just realised I'm really bad at meditation.
Oh, don't. It's a learning. It's a skill, and you're not. I bet you're not. Are you aware of your breath?
I'm aware of my breath. What I'm also aware of is you're meant to not clear your mind of thoughts and the amount of thoughts that come in. But what I do now, again in control, is just go, that's okay, let it go in, let it go out.
Perfect.
And then keep focused. Exercise is another really important one for me.
Yeah.
Really important.
What do you do and how do you fit that in?
I do boot camp. I have a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And in my best version of myself, I run daily. That's not happening at the moment.
Okay. But that's an intention. That's a goal.
Yeah.
And so this is an interesting question then. You have that positive intention. You can't quite hit it and hit the 7 days a week. So do you criticise yourself? What's the inner critic that's chatting in your mind saying?
Less an inner critic, but there's signals I know when things... I know I'm not the best version of myself when I'm out of control, when I'm overly stressed.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really realise, because we're all emotional human beings, and I'm an extrovert, which means I wear my emotions more visibly, which is not productive or helpful often in a professional environment. If you have not slept well, you're feeling stressed, you're not then going to show up as the best version of yourself. And another thing I will often do is when I'm running, I'll listen to podcasts, and I'll listen to podcasts from people I think are experts, like yourself, like other authors. And one thing that really resonated with me recently was the fact that emotion is a 90-second reaction.
I think that was my blog. Was that mine? Or did you read that?
Funnily enough, I know you had it in this week's blog,
Yeah.
but I had listened
that is
to
funny.
the Let Them book literally a month ago. And that was an amazing insight for me.
Yeah.
Because that is less time than it takes you to excuse yourself from a meeting, go to the bathroom. But the second part of that 90-second is... people listen to this will think, oh, no. It's longer. But the longer is how you reacted to the emotion.
Exactly.
So as long as I can recognise if I'm having emotional reactions, I need to take control, I need to remove myself, and I also need to bring myself back into balance so that I'm not having big emotional reactions to things that it's not productive or helpful.
Fantastic. That is so empowering. And for anyone listening, this 90-second rule is the fact that any intense emotion as it arises in your body will only last a maximum of 90 seconds while it's in that severe intensity, and then it melts away. So you're absolutely right. And have you had any examples where you've had to leave a meeting or you've had to self-manage, where you've had to kind of take a deep breath recently with the children or at work? Can you share any example?
Yes, there'll be times where you'll be in a meeting and you've got a belief in a direction, or there may be a disappointment, or you've got a lot on, you've got to... Last night, I'd come in from a very busy day. It was 7 or 8 p.m, and then the children aren't aware of that. And it's not their job to be aware of it. But I knew I needed them to be focused. I needed them to get into bed. I needed things to happen. And you could feel yourself getting frustrated when they can't read that.
Yeah.
And to my mind, I'm not past, because that's my frustration about my busy day, not my frustration with the children. Yeah. And all I do now is just take all those little lessons. So centering breaths. Bring yourself under control.
Yeah.
Excuse yourself if you can feel yourself reacting.
Yeah.
And then you can re-show up in a place of calm and structure and control.
And so the children didn't notice anything?
No.
Wonderful.
And it wouldn't have been helpful, because once your emotions go up, professionally or personally, everyone's emotions go up. So it's a defeated outcome at the inception.
Absolutely. So you have, like you acknowledge, through your own life lessons, you have learnt how to self-manage so that you can be this competent, capable, exemplary leader in your work environment, and equally be this fantastic mum, this fantastic wife. As we think about your version of impact into the world. Can you share what that looks like through the lens of your most magnificent work and your most magnificent relationships?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say, moments I've been really proud of in work are times where I've really shown up with bravery. And one that really sticks out, it's actually from quite a while ago. It's, nearly a decade in my past, but it was a really crucial learning moment, which was when I first moved over to Canada. We were launching Microsoft advertising. So new market, no network, didn't know people, didn't know how things were done. And when I landed, the way they were planning to go to market and launch was spending a lot of money on the wrong approach, in my point of view. And that was a time where I had to I knew what was instinctively the right thing to do, but it took a lot of bravery to make that decision. And of course you qualify it, you speak to, people in your network, you speak to the powers that be, you speak to global leaders. But I made a big, brave decision to move from a primarily DM-led campaign to launch a B2B brand in a new market and establish relationships with all the agencies. And I did not feel direct mail was the way to go. And so instead I decided to do a massive launch party.
Oh, wow.
Which spent a lot of money, and I put my reputation, and it was an integrated campaign that had education and engagement and targeting and all of those things, but it was a lot of money I spent. And it paid off because we were one of the top 3 brands within 12 months. But that was a time where I was...
Taking a risk.
Took a risk. But it was a qualified risk. And then I think personally, for me, where I feel really proud is my oldest child has just gone to secondary school. And as you can, massive moment. And picking that right school is is more pressure than any business thing. But it was also about carving out time. I had to go and see lots of schools. I am not local to Surrey, as you can tell by the accent. I don't know the schools. I don't know the children it produces. I don't know, and I know that what I want for my children. I want them to be great human beings. I want them to be confident in great human beings. So this was one of the most critical things, and I managed to find and prioritise that in everything else, and we did it, and we got him there.
You've done it. That's brilliant. So that's 2 examples where you have succeeded. You have followed what matters most. You've taken a risk in the first example, and then you've been really thorough and comprehensive in making sure that your family is flourishing in the right way, in the right educational environment. So what is your personal definition of success?
Balance. Balance, family, friends, work, self. I wouldn't have said self a few years ago, but that is, it's the whole. I just want to make sure that at some time in the future, if you look back, you can go, I don't regret. You're never going to be perfect. I am not perfect. I'm not perfect professionally. I'm not perfect personally. There's so much more you need to learn and grow and develop, but it's that lifelong learning journey. That's the important piece to me.
Absolutely. And I think you are epitomising how you're embracing that journey with such positivity and wonderful impact.
Thank you.
So what, Jacqueline, is your big dream?
I don't think I've ever told you this.
Go on.
I would like to write fiction.
Oh, no, you haven't told me that. Tell me.
I wanted to do it since I was under 10. I've always thought I want to write a book, hence why I wanted to be a journalist.
Yeah, which I didn't know about you, actually. Yeah.
And I've got a bit of a synopsis that I've written up.
Can you tell?
It's a fictional book about a post-apocalyptic type story.
Dark? Romantic?
It's about something that I'm passionate about, which is we as a society are so locked into a screen-based society and not a real life. could you envisage a future where there is a deliberate ploy to get people to be locked into a screen base because there's not enough space in the world for all of us, and we have a much smaller carbon footprint if we are just living this very small life, and then it allows those that have more to have more and more and more.
When's the book coming?
Once I retire, that's when I move on to the next career.
Well, actually, what does that look like then? The dream, writing fiction, having balance,
Yep.
the definition of success. What describe that?
A beach house near water, been a bit of an open house where there's just always different family, friends. It's just a house full of life and laughter and fun. There's a lot of sport connected to water. There's rewarding, and you're near enough to a city to do the things you love. You know me, I love good food, good restaurants, theatre, all of that. So just a life, again, in flow and balance.
Love it. I love it. Flow and balance. Well, you're certainly epitomising flow and balance today, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for joining me here on the show. It's been fantastic chatting to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca. And congratulations for anyone who's really doing it all. No, amazing.
Thank you.
Thank
Bless
you.
you.
What's sticking with me from that brilliant interview with the lovely Jacqueline is when she said, I didn't wake up and know this. There was no aha moment where she realised, I've got this. This is stress management. This is running a family and combining a career, and this is how I achieve balance. She recognised that it would take time and effort and iterations, and she's really conscious of what she described around her own control, but knowing what she can control, focusing her efforts in that which she can control. That's how she has managed to maintain her ability to run a family and absolutely scale corporate ascendancy at a phenomenal rate, and continues to do this today. So there we have it. Another inspiring guest evidencing how to maintain and achieve success with grace. If you've enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe and join me again for the next interview with another ambitious soul who is epitomising how they are achieving success with grace.